The desert wind howled across the wasteland of Korath Prime, carrying grains of crimson sand that stung like needles. Lieutenant Marcus Kane trudged through the dunes, his armor's environmental systems struggling against the planet's hostile atmosphere. The distress beacon had led him here, far from his patrol route, deep into territory no sane person would venture alone. He found her at the bottom of a ravine, half buried in sand. At first, he thought she was dead. Her pale blue skin was covered in bruises and lacerations, her ornate clothing torn and bloodied. The delicate ridges along her temples and the distinctive pattern of silver markings identified her as Veloran, one of the galaxy's most advanced species. But what shocked Marcus most was the deliberate nature of her injuries. This was no accident. "Hey," he called out, sliding down the embankment. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises that shifted between violet and gold. She recoiled instinctively, raising one trembling hand as if to ward him off. "Please," she whispered in heavily accented standard. "No more." "I'm not here to hurt you," Marcus said, keeping his voice steady. He removed his helmet, letting her see his face. "I'm with the Terran Defense Corps. My name is Marcus." "What happened to you?" She studied him with those strange, beautiful eyes, perhaps seeking deception and finding none. After a long moment, she spoke. "I am Lyra of House Velian. I refused a marriage alliance to Lord Tavros of House Krell. My family chose honor and politics over my life. They brought me here and left me to die." Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. He had heard stories about Veloran customs, about their rigid social hierarchies and arranged unions that sealed political alliances. But to abandon someone in the wasteland for refusing such a fate seemed barbaric, no matter how advanced their civilization claimed to be. "Can you stand?" he asked. Lyra tried to rise but collapsed immediately, crying out in pain. Her leg was clearly broken, possibly in multiple places. "All right," Marcus said, making a decision. "I'm going to carry you. My ship is about 3 kilometers from here. We'll get you medical attention." "Why?" Lyra asked, genuine confusion in her voice. "I am nothing to you. Humans and Velorans have no alliance. You gain nothing by saving me. My own family deemed me worthless." Marcus knelt beside her, carefully sliding one arm beneath her knees and another behind her back. She was lighter than he expected, her frame delicate despite her species' formidable reputation. "Where I come from," he said, lifting her gently. "We don't leave people to die in the desert. We sure as hell don't abandon them for wanting to choose their own path in life." He began the long walk back to his ship. Lyra remained silent for the first kilometer, her head resting against his shoulder. The twin suns beat down mercilessly, and Marcus could feel his water reserves depleting faster than recommended. But he maintained his pace, adjusting his grip occasionally to avoid causing her more pain. "Your species is strange," Lyra finally said. "The Valorans consider humans primitive. Barely 2 centuries in space, crude technology, violent history. Yet you risk yourself for someone you do not know." "Maybe that's exactly why we do it," Marcus replied. "We remember what it's like to be vulnerable, to need help. We haven't forgotten that behind all the technology and politics, we're still just people trying to survive. My tutors taught me that humans were dangerous, unpredictable, that your emotions made you weak and irrational." Marcus laughed, a sound that seemed to surprise her. "They might be half right. Emotions do drive us to do irrational things, like hiking through a deadly desert to answer a distress call that might have been a trap. But that same irrationality also means we'll fight like hell for someone who needs us, even if there's nothing in it for us." They crested a dune, and Marcus's ship came into view, a battered Terran corvette that had seen better days. Relief flooded through him as he quickened his pace. "Your family," Lyra said softly. "Would they do this? Abandon you for refusing their will?" "My mom would probably try to guilt-trip me for weeks," Marcus said with a slight smile. "But abandon me to die? Never. She'd fight the whole galaxy before she let that happen. That's what family is supposed to do." Lyra was quiet again, and Marcus felt moisture on his shoulder. She was crying, he realized, silent tears that spoke of profound loss and betrayal. Inside the ship, Marcus laid her carefully on the medical bay's examination table. The automated systems immediately began scanning her injuries, projecting a holographic display of broken bones, internal bleeding, and severe dehydration. It was worse than he thought. She had maybe another 6 hours before organ failure would have set in. "This is going to hurt," he warned, initiating the treatment protocols. "But you'll heal." The medical nanites went to work, and Lyra gasped as they began repairing tissue damage. Marcus held her hand, providing what comfort he could, while the machines did their job. It took 3 hours, but gradually her vitals stabilized, her breathing became easier, and the bruises began to fade. When it was done, Lyra sat up slowly, testing her formerly broken leg with obvious amazement. "I have heard of human medical technology," she said, "but experiencing it is different. Thank you, Marcus of Terra." "Just Marcus is fine," he said, offering her water and rations. "What will you do now? Your family thinks you're dead." Lyra took a long drink, considering the question. "I do not know. I am dead to them in every way that matters. The Valoran Empire will not accept me without my house. I have no place, no purpose." "That's not true," Marcus said firmly. "You have something more valuable than any house or title. You have your freedom, your life. What you do with it is up to you now." "Humans truly see the world differently," Lyra observed. "For Valorans, our identity is tied to our house, our alliances, our place in the hierarchy. Without that, we are nothing." "No," Marcus corrected. "Without that, you're just you. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's better." Over the following days, as they traveled back to the nearest Terran outpost, Marcus taught Lyra about human culture, philosophy, and values. She was fascinated by concepts like individual liberty, personal choice, and the idea that one's worth was not determined by birth or social status, but by character and action. In return, she shared knowledge of Valoran science, art, and history. Marcus learned that beneath their cold, hierarchical society was a people who had traded passion and freedom for order and advancement centuries ago. Lyra herself was proof that not all Valoran's accepted this bargain. "What you did," Lyra said one evening as they shared a meal, "carrying me out of that desert, it was not logical. You expended resources, risked your safety, delayed your mission. Yet you speak of it as if there was no other choice." "There wasn't," Marcus said simply. "Not for me, anyway. That's the thing about being human. We're stubborn that way. We see someone who needs help, and we help. We see injustice, and we fight it. Even when it's hard. Maybe especially when it's hard." Lyra reached across the table and took his hand, her touch surprisingly warm. "Then perhaps humans are not primitive," she said. "Perhaps you have simply evolved in a different direction, one that the Valorans have forgotten." When they reached the outpost, Marcus expected Lyra to request transport to a Valoran settlement or embassy. Instead, she did something that shocked him. "I wish to request asylum," she announced to the station commander, "and to apply for service in the Terran Defense Corps." The commander raised an eyebrow. "A Valoran wanting to join human military? That's a first." "I have nothing left among my people," Lyra explained. "But I have learned that humans value courage, honor, and loyalty over birthright and politics. These are values I wish to embrace." Marcus showed me that there is another way to live, another way to matter. The application was approved 3 weeks later. Lyra proved to be an exceptional soldier. Her Valoran reflexes and intelligence combined with human determination, creating something remarkable. She and Marcus served together for years, becoming legends in their own right. The story spread throughout both human and Valoran space. A human warrior who had carried a dying woman out of the desert, asking nothing in return. A Valoran noble who had given up everything to choose her own path. Together, they became symbols of what the galaxy could be if compassion and courage mattered more than tradition and hierarchy. Lyra never forgot that moment in the ravine, when a stranger had looked at her not as a political asset or a burden, but simply as a person who needed help. And Marcus never regretted his decision to answer that distress call, even though it had cost him time, resources, and safety. Because in the end, that's what separated humanity and the cosmos. Not superior technology or greater strength, but the stubborn, irrational, beautiful insistence that every life mattered, that no one should be left behind. And that sometimes the most logical thing to do was exactly what the heart demanded.